views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hola everyone, welcome to Open, the one and only show bringing the best of the Bronx, New York, and the world straight to you. I'm Rhina Valentin, your hosty Café con Leche every Friday. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Leading things off, BronxNet reporters bring you an inside look at some events that occurred in the Bronx community and beyond. After that, we get a sneak peek of the highly anticipated documentary, Decade of Fire, a documentary unveiling the 70s Bronx fires when we sit down with producer and co-director Vivian Vasquez and film score composer Arturo Ortiz. And later on in the show, Bobby C. brings us up to date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And finally, our Open Artist Spotlight features Bombazo Dance Company director Miteri Taka Concepcion, creator of the upcoming Bambula Dance and Drum Festival, who will also share the inspiration behind the festival and give us a taste of what we should expect. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way because now we are officially open. Welcome to Open, everyone. I'm Rhina Valentin, your hosty Café con Leche for the next hour. Always inviting you to get social with us online, that is. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV or like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget, follow moi on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, LinkedIn, Snapchat at Rhina Valentin. All right, so our BronxNet cameras had the opportunity to visit the 2018 NYC Food and Wine Festival that took place at Piers 92 and 94. Let's take a look.
Hailed as the biggest food and wine festival in New York City, we took our cameras over to Piers 92 and 94 on Manhattan's West Side for the 2018 New York City Wine and Food Festival. This weekend showcased America's favorite chefs and state-of-the-art kitchen products at the GBK Celebrity Official Thank You Lounge. Gavin Kelly, CEO and founder of NYCWFF sponsor GBK Productions, discussed with us the creation of the Thank You Lounge for the chefs and celebrities in attendance this year.
It's a thank you lounge to all the chefs that participate, and help out obviously the food banks, but 100% goes to them. So it's a phenomenal event, and the chefs are volunteering their time to be part of it. So that's why we wanted to put together a little thank you, or maybe it's a big thank you, depending on how you look at it, with a variety of items.
Delana Dixon, entertainment TV host and DivaGalsDaily.com editor-in-chief, talked to us about how she has been loving the lounge so far.
I'm so inspired to want to cook because there's like cool things like cooking boards and machines that make your entire meal. Actually, that might make me cook.
We chatted with a number of stations within the lounge to discuss their fantastic kitchen and wine themed products that are sure to add a touch of modern flair to your decor. From ovens.
We call it a 7-in-1 because it does replace a lot of things in your kitchen that you don't really need a toaster, you don't need a toaster oven. You don't need to put on your oven, especially in the summer.
We have patented Pure Light technology. We have 3 lamps on the bottom and 3 lamps on the top, and we harness infrared light.
All the way to luxury travel fashion.
We make it as a fashionable purse and bags. As you can see, we have messenger bags. But the cool part about it is that it stores and pours up to 2 bottles of wine.
We have a suitcase that has been designed expressly for the safe transport of wine, spirits, and even craft beer now.
In addition, we spoke about the excitement of chefs and celebrities supporting these products and genuinely enjoying them.
Alex just came by a while ago. I saw her last night at the 25-year celebration for Food Network. and we got to talk. I talked to her, of course, in Aspen, and she was sharing some stories of her booze board.
Is there anyone specifically that you met yesterday or today that you were really excited to meet?
Well, Gianna came up to our booth yesterday, and that was really fantastic. It didn't look like she had much time to kind of go around, but she came straight to our booth, and I kind of talked to her for a few minutes, and she's like, "I want 3 of your knives." So yeah, that was a great experience there.
100% of the net proceeds at NYCWFF benefit No Kid Hungry and Food Bank for New York City. If you'd like to know more about these charities or how you can get involved in next year's festival as a chef, vendor, attendee, or any other inquiries, contact info at nycwff.org or visit their website. This is Cody on UK reporting for BronxNet.
Thank you, Cody. And in other news, Papi El Maestro is an exhibition that chronicles the life of arranger, composer, and musician Ray Santos through the watchful and intimate lens of his daughter, photographer Rhina Santos. Reporter Sanji Lopez has the story.
Hashtag Papi El Maestro is an exhibition that chronicles the life of arranger, composer, and musician Ray Santos through the watchful and intimate lens of his daughter, photographer Rhina Santos.
I documented him for the last 6 years, and basically this exhibition is just a journey for me, his daughter, and how I see my father as a kid and how I see him now as his caregiver. It took me a long time to tell him that the show was only about him. In the beginning, I told him it was just about Latin music and other people, and so he was cool with that. He's a very, very humble, shy person. So, but it's, the last few weeks, I tell him, Papi, well, actually, it's just about you.
The star of the night was ecstatic to see his daughter's work and spend time around family and friends in a very familiar setting, the Bronx Music Heritage Center.
It's an uplifting experience. So, in other words, I'm having a great time. This is basically my own neighborhood. I used to live in Jennings Street, which is 1 block up.
I've known him for many, many years. He's been an inspiration as an educator, and he's a Bronxite. He's an SOB, a son of the Bronx. So it's very heartfelt for us to have him and honor him in his home borough.
Everything we try to sort of integrate into this sort of idea of the musical legacy of the Bronx. And what's great is that Ray's right from this neighborhood as well, a musician that's lived a block over from our space. So everything we do, whether it's exhibits, performances, kind of comes together to tell that story.
Hashtag Papi El Maestro is an homage of sorts to the artist's father, Ray Santos, a notable Latin music legend. So it was only right that tonight the art be accompanied by Willie Martinez and his quartet.
Coupled with live Latin jazz, Rhina's highly emotive photographs permitted attendees to traverse through the music while immersing themselves into the world of a legend for the night. Her sister, Carmen, was very moved by the images.
I have to admit that there are a couple of pictures here that really brought me to tears. The artistry with which Rhina looks at Dad, I look at him every day, but we don't see the same things, so I think it's very beautiful.
Hashtag Papi El Maestro will be on display on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Bronx Music Heritage Center, located at 1303 Louis 9 Boulevard. Reporting for BronxNet, Sanji Lopez.
Thank you, Sanji. All right. Well, we also wanted to let you know that the first ever Baltic Film Festival occurred, and it featured the works of many filmmakers from Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. And reporter Arlene Makoko has more. Let's take a look.
It is the first ever Baltic Film Festival featuring the work of filmmakers from Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia, a country that this year is celebrating its 100th anniversary.
About 2 years ago, I started to think about how Latvia would celebrate its centennial in New York, and I thought, what's a good way to showcase to New Yorkers something about Latvia? So I thought, well, let's show them some films about Latvia. But then after a while, I thought, well, maybe who's going to come and watch just Latvian films? Why don't we go together with our Lithuanian and Estonian colleagues and do a Baltic Film Festival.
The film covers a number of topics, with many that address the coming of age of a nation with a history that reaches as far back as 7000 BC. In this film entitled Baltic Tribes, director Rytis Abele, who also appeared on BronxNet's Open, uncovers the lives of pagan tribes and the push by outside forces to convert them to Christianity.
I'm very curious, I'm a little bit scared how the film will be received. Will the audience understand it, or will the audience like it?
In Christine Zelf's Maria's Journey, she looks at the life of Maria Grinberga's story. At the end of the German occupation, the Nazis took off with 700 boxes of Latvian art, and she brought them back. The focus on Baltic history comes at a time when national pride is high, as all three nations enjoy broader participation as part of the European Union. Now the arts community is laying hold of this opportunity to express themselves. An author on Scandinavian culture, Donald Dewey is the program director.
A lot of people do not remember that Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania were not like the satellite countries in Eastern Europe, like Hungary and Poland. They were considered by the Soviet Union their republics. And so they just, vacuumed them up. And they have not forgotten that. And that's why there is a lot of, I would say, I don't think we're to the point of tension, but we're certainly with a lot of uneasiness about what's going on.
Cultural Affairs Coordinator for the Estonian Consulate, Janika Tirna, was also involved.
It's been a year-long work together with all the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and working together with the Scandinavian House. And if you actually see it happening, and the interest in the films from the area, it's quite a wonderful feeling.
It's great to be here, and I hope people will enjoy Estonian films, also Latvian and Lithuanian films, because it's really a great moment for us.
18 filmmakers in all are being featured in this festival, and it's their hope that they can shed some light on their culture. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
Thank you, Arlene Makoko. We do have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Open.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Come on.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
1, 2.
And I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to. My love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom And moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
Welcome back to Open, everyone. So back in the day, the South Bronx in the 70s was burning, consumed with many fires that ultimately left the community in devastation. And the community primarily consisted of Black and Puerto Ricans, and well, they received no assistance from city government, left to fend for themselves, right? So the new documentary, Decade of Fire, reveals this important history of the Bronx and how the community chose to remain, resist, and rebuild. Let's take a look at Decade of Fire.
We grew up in rubble. We grew up with burnt out decay all over us. The South Bronx was burning down around us, and nobody seemed to know why. This is a story of what happened to my neighborhood.
Everything south of the Cross Bronx Expressway, they just let it burn, and nobody gave a damn.
See streets where it was teeming with people to become a ghost town.
How could city government allow this to happen? Who was in charge? Why?
The South Bronx used to be a respectable Jewish neighborhood. It hasn't been bombed, it's been devastated by neglect, and the people who live here, mostly immigrants from the Deep South or Puerto Rico.
But we didn't burn the Bronx. We were the ones who stayed.
I said, no, wait a minute. I have to make my move right now.
I made a commitment then, December 1974, that I was going to put this building back together.
The reason we're trying to do all these things is to show an example to the rest of the people in the neighborhood that if you just try, you could make a lot better neighborhood.
The federal government can come in and wave a wand and do this.
Push! Why don't you push?
We came from this so-called terrible place, the South Bronx. But we would never leave it behind.
There you have it, Decade of Fire. Joining us now to tell us more about the film, please welcome co-director and producer Vivian Vasquez and film score composer Arturo Ortiz. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a long time in the making. So my first question is, Decade of Fire because of the time span, or Decade of Fire because it took you a decade to execute?
We actually laugh about that because it did take us almost 10 years to make the film. But the Bronx burned for 10 years.
So it actually serves both purposes.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so Vivian, I know this is primarily your baby. I know there's a team behind this whole project, but let's talk a little bit about what inspired you to start collecting this footage to begin with. Like, at what age did you start doing that?
So, do you want me to tell you my age?
No, not at all. I would
Okay.
never.
No. No, so
I know better.
Okay. So actually,
We know the rules.
We know the rules.
I mean, if
Well,
you want to
it's
give it
fun.
up, but I would never ask that. I was just asking, like, when did you start feeling this desire to capture the story?
So I have lived and worked in the Bronx mostly all my life, and back in the early 2000s, when the Bill Gates Foundation decided to start small schools, one of my co-producers and I were work colleagues, and what we wanted to do was we started a high school, and we wanted to share Bronx history with the young people. We wrote up a curriculum. My co-producer Julia Allen presented a curriculum to teach to students, and from there we just began to talk about the history of the Bronx. We began to talk about graffiti. We talked about hip hop as an expression of what the young people were going through at the time, and then we began to talk about the fires. Julia was very interested in what happened with the fires. She kept asking me questions like, really? Did you guys have to sleep with your shoes on? Really? You lived without heat and hot water for months? What was that like? Vivian, you should write about it. You should talk about it. And so from then on, we just, brainstormed the idea of sharing the story via film.
So that curriculum that we're talking about, that was 10 years ago? Or that was
10 years ago.
That was 10 years ago, and
Yeah.
that's how this all started unfolding itself.
Right.
And so the footage that's used within the film, is that personal footage or is that stock footage? Like, how are you
It's a
able to-
combination,
Okay.
right? So my dad took a lot of film when we were little. So you will see film. We had to unearth it from a closet in Rio Piedras because he had it all in a box, and we sort of were able to unearth all of that. And then we began to conduct research, and we went to, El Centro for Puerto Rican Studies. We went to NBC. The more we talked to people about the film, the more people were generous in, sharing what film footage was out there. And so we collected as much as we could.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about your storytelling and the perspective it's coming from, but let's get to know Arturo a little bit more, because I understand Arturo Ortiz, even though you're like legendary in the music industry, I understand this is your first gig as a film composer.
This is my first venture.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I definitely have to thank Vivian and Gretchen and Julia and Neda and the whole team for giving me the opportunity, which I took as I embraced the challenge, and it's plus it's an unbelievable story that I feel the privilege, of being able to use my expertise or use my craft, like to support the story with music.
Well, the beauty of your background, just to share with everyone, is, I mean, you're saying the privilege, and you're quite the humble being, because, I mean, you've worked with like Ricky Martin, Mark Anthony, I know Willie Colon, right? And so I'm just going to put it out there, because now you've transferred your skills into film composition. However, you've made quite a name for yourself traveling the world. With these amazing musicians as yourself as well.
All that comes as experience and as tools to help support the film. So I think it came at the right time. It's a beautiful transition, and it's a beautiful adventure to take up on.
So based on what you've experienced, how did that serve you designing the sound and the mood of what people are going to experience?
Well, because of my experience traveling and touring and playing with a lot of different musicians and artists, I developed a lot of different skills, different types of music. And I'm also a fan of film scoring all my life. So little by little, along the way, you start like digging more and more and more and learning to the point where you put A and B together, and it's like, okay, this is the way that I'm supposed to do this. This is how it works. I use these references. I use these subjects. I use all these resources in order to be able to supply the film, with the right music. To put it,
This partnership, yeah,
right. And so, and we also met and we talked a lot, and so he got to know me, so that he can understand what I wanted. I mean, we had our first sessions. My request, I just want drums, and so I remember Arturo saying, "So Vivian, what kind of drums?" I don't know. I just want drums, and so he presented his music, and then we had a process for saying, "Oh yeah, that's what I want," or sometimes he would say to me, "No, you don't want drums in that scene. You want something else."
That was going to be my next question. It's like, which came first, the music or the scene, or did you kind of balance it out and go back and forth on the music presenting the scene and the scene presenting, because they can feed each other.
Right.
Well, you know, you have to take into account, or you might not know this, but I was one of the one that came out the latest, because they've been working on the film a lot longer than me.
Right.
You know, so I really I felt the need to accommodate to them. They are the one who have embraced this project for such a long time. I'm knowing the game. So I needed to pay a lot of attention to what they felt that it was right and what they were looking for. You know, so
It sounds like a wonderful synergy. So the film itself, is it from the perspective of a Puerto Rican woman?
It is. Both my parents are Puerto Rican. I grew up in the old Lincoln Hospital in the South Bronx. I grew up on Leggett and Fox. And, you know, being from there in the 1970s, remember listening to Michael Jackson, you know, James Brown. I remember listening to salsa, of course, you know, Los Panchos. Remember listening to disco, remember listening to rock and roll. And growing up in the area, didn't actually understand why my neighborhood was burning. You know, I remember looking up in the stars, looking at the sky, hanging out on the fire escape, having a great time. But all the while, my neighborhood was being neglected, it was being abandoned. All the while, it began to burn. And, you know, for almost a decade, the Bronx lost 80% of its housing stock. Over 200,000 people were displaced. And we had about 40 fires a day and night. You know, if you ask me, I'll say, yeah, I remember the fires at night. My sister will say, oh, no, they were happening during the day. But there were constant fires. As the kid growing up in the South Bronx, that was normal. It was normalized for us. Growing up in rubble, playing in rubble, was a normal thing. In hindsight, as an adult, the question became, why? What happened? How did that happen? And wait a second.
Does the film reveal?
Yeah.
The backstory of
right.
the motivation behind it?
Right, yes. It does. Many people that we've spoken to will say, oh, yeah, it was arson, right, Vivian? And yes, there was arson that played a major role in the burning of the Bronx. However, what led it to the arson behavior, to what we call the vulture effect that happened? Why did it become so that landlords thought it was okay to burn their buildings? What happened? And it starts early in the 1940s and 50s.
Wow, so it goes all the way back there. So how long is the film in its entirety?
It's about 72 minutes.
Minutes, 72 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So, and then it's going to premiere at the Dock NYC, right? And that's happening on
November 10th, Saturday, November 10th.
Is that the only day you're actually going to screen it?
Yes.
For the world premiere, that is?
Yes, that's our world premiere.
And so what do you want people to leave with?
What we want people to leave with is that, first of all, we as a people of color in the South Bronx, it wasn't our fault. We didn't burn the South Bronx. And the second thing is that we actually helped save it, that people stayed, people worked with each other. There was a huge sense of community where people supported each other and began to rebuild. People began to resist, they began to rebuild, and they began to fight for change. And the other thing that we want to talk about here is that it's becoming too familiar now, because our folks in the South Bronx and in other places in the Bronx are at threat of gentrification. So
it's presenting itself in another form.
That's right.
Right. And so here's an eye-opener of the same pattern kind of repeating itself in another form.
Right.
Plus, it's a fantastic story. I mean, a lot of people know what happened, but most of the people don't know how.
How, right.
And that's the most amazing part of it.
Right. And thank you. Thank you for producing this film. Thank you, Arturo, for
Thank you for
serenading us inside of it, because I can tell there's a love story inside of the music as well. So thank you for that. And Vivian, of course, for dedicating a decade to making sure that this story is told. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, and you guys, once again, the Decade of Fire will be showcased at the Doc NYC Festival. That is taking place Saturday, November 10th at the School of Visual Arts Theater on 333 West 23rd Street, and that's happening at 4:15 p.m. For more information, you can visit decadeoffire.com. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Open. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to Open, everyone. Don't forget, we're always inviting you to get social with us. That's right. Tweet us at BronxNet TV, and while you're there, tweet me too at Rhina Valentin. Okay, so New York Comic Con is a celebration of all things comics, pop culture, and more. And this year, our reporter Nicholas Marrero got an inside look at the upcoming film in the Dragon Ball saga, Dragon Ball Super Broly. Let's check it out.
They've traveled to Namek, faced beings from other universes, and fought to protect our world countless times. But now, the voice cast for Dragon Ball Super are letting their guards down and blasting their way to the Jacob Javits Center to promote their upcoming film, Dragon Ball Super Broly. Through the years, fans have watched their beloved characters grow and evolve, whether it be in strength like Goku or growing a family like Bulma. We spoke to Sean Schemmel, voice actor for Goku, and Monica Rial, voice actor for Bulma, about how they think their characters have changed from Dragon Ball Z through Dragon Ball Super.
I feel like part of Goku's character is that he does not grow and change. He stays fundamentally constant, always the beginner's mind, always a child, always, pure of heart, and everyone else seems to grow and change around him.
Bulma's changed a lot. I love that in the very beginning we got this cute, kind of ditzy little girl who, again, very creative, was inventive. She's a genius, but at the same, very girly. She wanted to get the Dragon Ball so she could get a boyfriend. But what I really love about her growth, especially through Z and then into Super exponentially, she's become a really great role model. Yeah. She's not afraid to speak up and say her mind. She's not afraid to tell people when they're doing something wrong.
Enough with your wisecracks, now get us out of here!
I think it's great for little girls to go, yeah, I want to grow up and I want to be an inventor or scientist like Bulma.
Even when the cast are not recording together, their work still comes together as one, both on and off the screen and behind the scenes.
What's really nice about recording a bit later is that your fellow cast members have gone before you, and so you get to legitimately play off of their work as opposed to just kind of having to go cold or try to sort of play off the Japanese, which is all right, but it's not.
Sorry, Kai, but your luck has run out.
So it's nice to come together at events like this where we actually get to rub elbows, and it sort of crystallizes the whole process, and it sort of makes it feel it come full circle.
Although the series has ended in Japan, Dragon Ball Super is shifting into full gear in the United States, with the Universe Survival arc, which holds the place as being the final arc in Super as of now, due to the series taking an over 8-month break in preparation for Dragon Ball Super Broly, the series' first movie.
He's getting stronger!
Go see the movie. But most of all, thank you. I mean, I think you can hear how incredibly thankful we are to all of you and your support over the years.
It's the best job in the world.
It really is.
Of all the roles I've had, it's the best. I mean, I could go on to anything bigger than this. Anything. I hope I do. But if I do, Dragon Ball will be special and separate and above it in its own like your first love, your first kiss, or anything like that.
Funimation, an entertainment company that specializes in translating anime shows from Japanese to English, will have its world premiere at the Creative Life Chinese Theater in Los Angeles on December 13th, followed by its United States release a month later on January 16, 2019. Reporting for BronxNet, Nicholas Marrero.
All right, stay tuned. Bobby C's Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
We begin on the NBA hardwood, where the association had some week in the headlines. Let's begin with the former Knick, Derrick Rose, who had a throwback night in a throwback jersey after dropping a career-high 50 points in a thrilling win over the Utah Jazz. Rose was in tears. It was a game that few expected from the former MVP, whose career has been derailed by faulty knees that knocked him down from his superstar status. Halloween night belonged to D. Rose. He made the go-ahead basket with 30 seconds left, then gave Minnesota a three-point cushion with a pair of free throws with 13.8 seconds left to reach the 50-point mark. Of course, Knick fans, Derrick Rose is good again. Golden State's Klay Thompson suited up as Jackie Moon on Halloween night, channeling his inner semi-pro. A couple of nights earlier, Thompson continued to showcase why the Warriors remain the most dangerous team in the league. It was only a matter of time before Thompson would get hot. The other sharp-shooting guard for the Warriors, Thompson ended his season-long slump in a huge way, setting an NBA record with 14 three-pointers on his way to 52 points in just 26 minutes Monday night. The Warriors, probably needless to say, beat the host Chicago Bulls 149-124, dominating so thoroughly that they pulled all of their starters with 4 minutes, 53 seconds left in the third quarter. They scored 92 points in the first half. No more unbeatens in the NBA. 3 days after Thompson set the NBA record for the most three-pointers by a player in a single game, the Boston Celtics nearly set the record for a team, and they did it against some pretty quality competition as well. Facing the NBA's final undefeated team in the 7-0 Milwaukee Bucks, the Celtics won 117-113 and made a franchise record 24 threes along the way, one short of the NBA record set by the Cleveland Cavs last season. The Nets had an off night Thursday and will be back in action tonight in Brooklyn, hosting Carmelo Anthony and the lowly Houston Rockets. That game tips at 7:30 p.m. The Nets had a thriller of their own on Wednesday night. Spencer Dinwiddie made a three-pointer with 7.1 seconds left in overtime and finished with 25 to help the Nets beat the Detroit Pistons 120-119. The Knicks fell 107-101 to Indiana at the Garden Wednesday night. The Orange and Blue will be in Dallas tonight. De'Aaron Fox set career highs with 31 points, 15 assists, and 10 rebounds for his first career triple-double. And the Sacramento Kings beat the Atlanta Hawks 146-115 on Thursday night for their fifth straight win. Fox is only 20 years old, the only two players in NBA history with 30-point triple-doubles before their 21st birthdays, Fox and a guy named LeBron James. It's been a week of surprises from the NBA to the NFL. After finding out he was starting just hours before the game, all San Francisco 49ers QB Nick Mullins did was put together one of the best statistical debuts by a quarterback in league history. Mullins, a 2017 undrafted free agent out of Southern Miss, began the day by receiving a good luck text from fellow Golden Eagle Brett Favre. He ended by receiving a congratulatory call from Favre and approximately 600 text messages from other friends and family. In between, Mullins put together one of the greatest statistical performances by a quarterback making his debut in NFL history and led the Niners to a convincing 34-3 victory against the Oakland Raiders. Mullins, the third stringer, calmly directed the Niners to touchdowns on the first 2 drives of his young career and going on to post the best passer rating by a quarterback in his first start since the merger in 1970. Special night for the Niners. Terrell Owens was presented his Hall of Fame ring during halftime and stood by his decision to skip the induction ceremony in Canton earlier this year. Owens also made headlines for comments against Giants quarterback Eli Manning this week. Owens believes it's time for the G-men to bench Manning. In a conversation with TMZ on Thursday, Owens said he believed Manning's skills, open quote, are pretty much eroding, close quote, and that the quarterback is to blame for the Giants' disastrous 1-7 start to the season. Manning, 37 now, has thrown 8 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and has been sacked 31 times in 8 games this year. The Giants will be in San Fran Monday night to face Mullins and the Niners. The Jets are in Miami for a 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. Time for some quick hitters from the ice. Zuccarello and Zibanejad scored in the shootout, and the New York Rangers completed a 4-game road swing with a 3-2 victory Thursday night over the Anaheim Ducks. The Detroit Red Wings beat the New Jersey Devils 4-3 Thursday night. Josh Bailey scored a shorthanded goal in the second period, and then the only goal in a shootout to lift the New York Islanders over the Pittsburgh Penguins 3-2 last night. Brett Gardner is staying with the Yankees at a lower salary. As we move to the baseball diamond, the 35-year-old outfielder agreed Wednesday to a 1-year contract after New York declined his $12.5 million option for 2019. Sources confirmed to ESPN that the new deal is worth $7.5 million. Gardner, New York's longest tenured player, gets a $2 million buyout triggered by the team's decision to decline his option, meaning he will receive $9.5 million in total, a $3 million savings for the team under the option price. Baseball's annual GM meetings gets underway next Tuesday in California, and while the Yankees rarely complete a major deal this early in the offseason, GM Brian Cashman will be there, as he likes to say, kicking the tires. This will be the offseason of Manny Machado and Bryce Harper, but early rumblings seem to indicate that the Yankee brass believes neither are a good fit for the Pinstripes. In the MLS, the New York Red Bulls are in the Eastern Conference semifinals. They play Columbus Sunday at 3 p.m. NYCFC dismissed Philadelphia in the knockout round 3-1, and they too have advanced. They will play Atlanta at Yankee Stadium on Sunday. That game gets rolling at 7:30 p.m. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list for what makes the Golden State Warriors so special. Remember this week, his hot shooting proves a point about the Golden State Warriors, too. There are no egos on this team. They fed him the ball constantly, going out of their way to look for him in transition. What ended up being an historic night for Klay and the Warriors is also a microcosm of the culture Steve Kerr has built in Golden State. One of the key components of the Warriors culture that was clearly on display Monday night was unselfishness. Rare is the team where you have 2 superstars and 4 all-stars, not including the injured DeMarcus Cousins, on the same team. Rarer is the team where each star willingly gives up the spotlight so that another can have it. Even rarer is the team that sacrifices their own individual statistics and individual accomplishments so that their teammates can succeed. For another year, no one is beating Golden State. That's your sports. I'm Bobby C.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
When they test you, stand firm and move only when you hear the seatbelt click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Open. Well, we were just talking, and thank you for joining us. The Bombazo Dance Company is, well, that's Mi Teri here, and they're all about preserving, educating, and showcasing traditional Afro-Puerto Rican bomba and Afro-Caribbean elements while creating a cultural experience for individuals. And this year, the company is holding its first Bamboula Dance and Drum Festival that will showcase dance and drum companies that may have different origins and styles, but share the same roots. And joining us to tell us more, we welcome the director of Bombazo Dance Company and the Bamboula Dance and Drum Festival director. Please welcome cultural preservationist Miteri Tucker Concepcion.
Good morning, Rhina.
Good morning, darling. I know they caught us off guard. And of course, I had to do this whole long introduction because I need them to know who you are and all of this amazing work you're doing here in the Bronx.
Thank
and
you.
You have come a long way. And I just want to share with our viewers, we've been showcasing Miteri from when she was just dancing solo and when she was just thinking about creating Bombazo Dance Company. Yeah. And let's just share with everyone where you are now. I mean, especially just jumping off a plane. Yes. I mean, not literally jumping off a plane, but she just flew in from Puerto Rico yesterday.
Yes, actually this morning.
Oh, this morning. Oh my gosh.
Straight from the airport here.
Oh my goodness. Talk about commitment.
Yes, no, I was in Puerto Rico at the second Congress of Afro-Descendants at the University of Puerto Rico, La UP. And it was a wonderful 3-day of exchange and of hearing scholars, particularly Black and Afro-Latino scholars, talk about what this particular group has done for our communities and for the rest of the world. And for the first time, they had a dance workshop. And I said, well, we're Afro-descendants. Puerto Rican dance bomba is Afro-descendant. But what does it mean to be African or coming back to the African, being Afro-descendant and connecting to Africa? What does that mean? There was never an African dance class in Puerto Rico, not even when I was there. So that was something that I actually found here. And I said, and I saw immediate connection, and I just fell in love with it. And I said, I would love to give this to the university students and the scholars, which we did. We had packed house and of taking the workshop, and it was just beautiful. They really reconnected, understanding a little bit more that there is substance and there's technique and there's steps, and it's not just a whatever dance feel to it. So that was beautiful to witness.
So that's beautiful from the technical standpoint, right? But one of the things I want to mention, which I kind of introduced in that manner, is that Bombazo Dance Company. How long has Bombazo Dance Company been in existence now?
Oh, well, now about 10 years.
10 years, wow.
Yes.
It's been 10 years.
Yes.
I know, I can't even believe we're even saying that, right? Because I've been doing this 12 years now.
Yes, yes.
And so, yes, and congratulations on that, right?
Thank you.
But what I've also noticed is that it's organically kind of formed itself.
Exactly.
And one of the things that you seem to be really passionate about is kind of uniting, I guess, folkloric dance that recognizes the Afro-descendant origins.
Right. Well, when you're learning African dance and when you're learning our history, you know that this is just more than just what you know. And as a dancer and as a choreographer, and living in the melting pot that New York City is, in the Bronx, you just encounter, fortunately enough, all these cultures that you can go and take class or go to an activity. And that's how I would go and take Haitian dance classes, African dance classes, and look at Afro-Cuban dance classes, and I said, oh my God, there's a connection to all this. I do bomba, but there's either a specific rhythm or a certain part of the rhythm or a specific step that it may be a little bit different, but it's not that so far out for what I know. And as you continue to study and you continue to, we all have the same, basically the same history, right?
And so while you specialize
that,
in the Puerto Rican, right? Because bomba is Puerto Rican's Afro-descended folkloric music and dance.
Right.
You've connected all the other ones through this festival, which I want to make sure we mention before.
Definitely.
You give us a demo of your presentation.
Yes. And that's what the festival is. There's 4 Bronx dance companies, like we all based in the Bronx, right? And we also serve our community. So instead of going and seeing what's different, I want the audiences to see what unites us. We're always talking about, how we do it this way, how we do it that way, but when we actually see this all in one stage and all in one platform and how it interconnects, then we'll understand how big we are and how working united we can accomplish great things.
Yeah, and we thank you for providing our Open Artist Spotlight the past couple of weeks. We've been able to show everybody just a sneak peek of what to expect at the Bombazo Dance and Drum Festival that's taking place this Sunday. And so we did capoeira, we did arimbe, the Arimba Dance Company, which is African, and I know there's also going to be the Garifuna Company, and then of course Bombazo Dance Company, and we're going to get a taste of them, but we got to take a quick break. And I adore you, and we adore you. Congratulations, Miteri, you're doing such amazing work.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, she's also the festival's director and creator, so I want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
Latina power in the house, all right? You guys, we got to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll get a taste of what we should expect from the upcoming Bombazo Dance and Drum Festival happening this Sunday, November 4th, so don't go anywhere.
And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Even if I tried, even if I wanted to.
Hello, welcome back to Open. It's now time for this week's Open Artist Spotlight. Here now to perform a Puerto Rican folkloric cultural piece, Bomba. Please welcome the Bombazo Dance Company. Yes, Bombazo Dance Company. Everyone, woo! All right. Once again, you guys, the Bombazo Dance and Drum Festival will take place on Sunday, November 4th at 3 p.m. at Pregones Theater, located at 575 Walton Avenue in the Bronx. And for tickets, be sure to visit Eventbrite Bambula Bronx Dance and Drum Festival. And that is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recablecast tonight, 24 hours a day at BronxNet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. Happy Puerto Rican Heritage Month, mi gente. Bomba! Vamos, 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 vamos. My turn. All right.